Hey, you know what I love? The wonders of the human body. Like, did you know that babies are born with all their adult teeth? Yep, they just sit there, waiting to hatch. Or the fact that it only takes 1 kilo of force to push the nose bone into the brain. Or how about the fact that we eat like so many spiders in our sleep each year? Actually, that's not true. But the first two are. The rumor about eating spiders in our sleep was supposedly started by a lady named Lisa Holst, who was a column writer for a computing magazine in the 1990s. Holst wanted to illustrate how easy it could be to spread misinformation on this newfangled thing called the internet, by writing a column stating the average person swallows 8 spiders in their sleep annually, which she actually read herself in a book on common insect misconceptions from 1954. And to her credit, I think she proved her point. Just like how the factoid from 1954 gained new life from Holst in the 90s, the factoid changed shape again in 2013, when Tumblr user Really Trying birthed the mythical being known as Spiders George. Their post reads as follows. Average person eats 3 spiders a year, factoid. Actually, just statistical error. Average person eats 0 spiders per year. Spiders George, who lives in cave and eats over 10,000 each day, is an outlier, adding should not have been counted. Wow. What else can be said? It's like seeing the Mona Lisa for the very first time. Spiders George not only quickly entered the social zeitgeist, but he also became a household term for explaining statistical outliers, as well as simply being a new punchline for any joke that involves something in great abundance. These are some of my favorites. But what if he could become more? Much more. What if he could become alive? To figure out if someone could survive while eating so many spiders, we first need to look up the nutritional information. Oh. No. Okay, let's just pop this in here. Although, this article concludes that Spiders George couldn't exist, but I'll be damned if I just take it lying down. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be learning how to make your very own Spiders George. Help me. There are lots of conflicting facts, so let's start things off by clarifying what exactly we'll be trying to prove. The book that Lisa Holst referenced said that people consume 8 spiders annually while sleeping, and Spiders George is said to eat enough spiders to account for everyone eating 3 spiders annually. The populations for each of these years are pretty different, but if Spiders George were around in 1954, he would actually need to eat less spiders a day than if he were around in 2013. Although these numbers end up actually being pretty similar. But even if he were eating the world's smallest spider, the Patu Digua, then he would still need to be eating around 6 kilos of them a day. Although, there is actually one more option that we haven't considered. Right there in the original post, 10,000 each day. Well, technically it does say over 10,000 each day. Eating 10,000 a day is nowhere near enough to cover the statistic of 3 spiders for each person alive. But hey, if it's in the original post, then I'll take it. With this new number of 10,000 spiders a day, if we were to give Spiders George the Patu Digua spider to eat, he would only eat around 1 gram of spiders each day. But I think we can do better. I want him to engorge himself. But more than that, I want him to be as close to a real boy as possible. And since the Patu Digua live in forests, they are not an option for our cave-dwelling Spiders George. So we want a spider that is relatively small, easy to catch, harmless to humans, lives in caves, and is preferably found in abundance all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Daddy Longlegs. This tasty-looking fella over here is something of an enigma because despite his overall yummy appearance, there doesn't seem to be any nutritional information about him. I couldn't even find how much he's supposed to weigh. Yeah, there's some information about the big guys, but even if we adjusted those numbers for their difference in size, our Daddy Longlegs looks nothing like those guys. Just look at his legs. If only there were another insect with a similar body shape that we knew more stuff about. The humble mosquito. A horrible bastard in all parts of the world, but a useful food source in some. But what's the best way to eat a mosquito? Well, my friend, you make it into a burger. This baby right here packs in 500,000 mosquitoes, 300 calories, 25 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, 8 grams of saturated fats, and 80 milligrams of sodium. They're about 7 times as nutritious as a traditional beef patty and apparently taste equal parts salty, buttery, and nutty. Putting the flavor aside for one moment, the nutritional information is surprisingly good. There is a distinct lack of carbohydrates and fiber, which are important for, digestion. But there is a solution. Like us, the author of the article debunking Spiders George made some assumptions, but they also made one fatal mistake. Right there in the introduction of their article, they wrote that Spiders George, quote, lives in a cave and eats nothing but spiders. But here's the thing, it never actually says in the original post that he only eats spiders. This means that as long as Spiders George is able to consume a sufficient number of spiders without overdosing on sodium or something, he should be able to supplement his missing nutrients with other foods like perhaps some nice cave moss or a fiber bar. So we've established that not only can Spiders George definitely consume more than 10,000 spiders a day, but with the calories remaining, he can definitely spare some room for other nutritious foods to keep him cave dwelling for years to come. But remember when I said earlier, I want Spiders George
to engorge himself on spiders.
So just how many spiders can he eat in a day? An average daddy longlegs spider is almost exactly twice the length, height, and width of a mosquito, which means that their size is actually 8 times that of a mosquito. If we assume that they have the same nutritional info as a mosquito relative to their size, then a single daddy longlegs burger would have about 62.5 thousand spiders. In order for Spiders George to stay healthy and eat as many spiders as possible, he would probably eat about 7 spider burgers a day, totaling 2,100 calories, made up of a total of 437.5 thousand spiders. This also leaves him a few calories to spare to put something else on his burger that will hopefully help his digestion. We've had to make some substitutions, but I'm feeling good about this recipe. He's a real boy! Not quite as handsome as store-bought, but isn't it so much more satisfying knowing that you made it with your own 2 hands? Okay, bye.